For this week's episode, we bring you the story of street legend and RYDA Records CEO Roderick Big B. Earl, currently serving life without the possibility of parole in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Facility for capital murder. It all starts in 1996 when Roderick Earl, known in the streets as Big B, a business-savvy street hustler from Fresno, California, decides to relocate his enterprise to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, where he starts RYDA Records, an independent entertainment label where he's not only the CEO, but an artist as well.
Oh, shit, it's script and flip. Big B for RYDA Records, and I'm here to represent. I'm knocking a dent for all the years that been spent. These suckers got me bent, they never really had a hint deep in the game before I win. And I know they resent. I'm coming with these platinum beats. It's nice like a swish and sweet. And if I catch you with my kitchen, I'ma turn up the heat. Bringing it to you by the turn worldwide through the streets. Uncut straight because my family got to eat. And we keep it in the chamber for food trying to cheat. Game beats like a volcano, lyrics hot like lava. We start the game and go just like Alibaba. Start no problems and we bring no drama. Get gone, and my Impala let the pipe.
Although Big B had the record label, a record store, and many other business endeavors, his thirst for the fast money provided by the streets would ultimately lead to his downfall, as well as one of the artists on his label. Marcy Harris, a paramedic and firefighter with the Dallas Fire Department, testified that at about 1:30 a.m. on May 14, 1998, she was dispatched to a location in response to a call about an injured person. When she arrived, she found Cavazos yelling for help. Cavazos had been burned over 95% of his body. Harris could also tell that Cavazos had been beaten up. One of his eyes was swollen, and he had facial abrasions. A bystander was removing a belt from around one of Cavazos' wrists. Cavazos told Harris that some black guys had poured gasoline on him and burned him. Harris and her partner took Cavazos to the hospital. Cavazos died later that day from his burn injuries. Eric Watson, a friend of Cavazos, was the state's key witness. Watson testified on the afternoon of May 13th. Cavazos picked him up and they went to the Classic Auto Shop in Cavazos' car. At the shop, Cavazos got a call on his cell phone. When he got off the phone, he asked Watson if he wanted to make some quick money. Cavazos told Watson that if he rode around in a car with someone for about 30 minutes, Cavazos would pay him $1,000. Watson knew it was a drug deal, but agreed to participate. Kerry Cheatham soon arrived at the shop in a Cadillac. Cavazos told Watson to get in the car with Cheatham and go get the other half. Watson assumed he and Cheatham were going to get the other half of the money that would be used to purchase drugs. Watson thought he was going along to keep Cheatham from getting ripped off. Cheatham drove to an IHOP restaurant where they met Earl in the parking lot. Earl gave Cheatham a bag with a bulk of something inside it. Cheatham then got a call on his cell phone from Cavazos. After the call, Cheatham and Watson met Cavazos. Cheatham told Cavazos that he had $16,000, the other half. Cavazos then said he was going to go get it and told Cheatham and Watson to drive around. Cavazos left with the money. Watson thought Cavazos was going to get the drugs. Watson and Cheatham waited for a call from Cavazos. First, Cavazos called and told Cheatham it was going to take him a while longer. Then Cheatham got another call from Cavazos and handed the phone to Watson. Cavazos told Watson that he had gotten jacked for the money and that they had shot Alex. Watson did not know Alex, but said he was someone Cavazos was supposed to get drugs from. Cavazos sounded weak and scared. Watson and Cheatham drove to pick Cavazos up, who was outside a residence. His lip was busted and his shirt was torn. Cavazos told them he had gone to a house where he had been beaten, but he was able to run away. Cheatham said they needed to tell Earl what had happened, so they went back to the IHOP to meet Earl. At the IHOP, Earl got in the Cadillac with the three men, and they eventually drove to a city garage. Earl asked Cavazos what happened, and Cavazos told him he had been jacked. Earl became angry and frustrated. The men got out of the car, and Earl told Cavazos he had better get Earl's money or his drugs, or he would kill Cavazos and Watson. Earl told Cavazos he did not believe or trust him. Cavazos started making phone calls in an attempt to get someone to front him the drugs. Earl then asked Cavazos to show him where he had gotten jacked. The men drove through neighborhoods looking for the house but could not find it. Cavazos could not remember exactly where it was. Earl again threatened to kill Cavazos and Watson if they did not get his money or drugs. Earl began to periodically hit Cavazos in the face. He also tried to break Cavazos' neck. Earl then said that they were going to pick up his boy. They drove to a recording studio in Las Colinas and arrived sometime between 9 and 10 at night. They picked up David Else, LD, an artist on the record label, who was carrying a black bag. Cavazos continued to make calls and eventually said he could get $4,000 from someone named Carlos. The men then drove to Elrod's Cost Plus to meet Carlos. Carlos walked up to the driver's door of the Cadillac and handed Cheatham the money. The men then left and drove to an alleyway. Earl was very angry, according to Watson. Earl later said that he had recognized the money Cavazos got from Carlos as his own money. In the alleyway, Cheatham, David Else, and Earl got out of the car. Eventually, David Else came back to the car and told Cavazos, "You don't F with our money," and started to hit him. Then Earl dragged Cavazos out the car and knocked him down. Cheatham, David Else, and Earl started beating Cavazos. Watson testified that Earl and David Else were the most aggressive. The beating continued for 5 to 10 minutes, at which Cheatham, Earl, and David Else tied up Cavazos. Then Earl and David Else put him in the trunk of the Cadillac. Cheatham, David Else, and Earl got back in the car with Watson. Earl said they were going to throw Cavazos and Watson off a bridge. When they stopped to do so, another car came and they left. They then went to Cavazos' house to look for his car, but it was not there. Then Earl said, "Let's burn this MF." They drove to a 7-Eleven. Earl went in the store and returned with a plastic gas can that he had purchased. Earl told Cheatham to find a place where he could take Cavazos and burn him. They drove around and eventually turned on a dirt road. When the car stopped, everyone but Watson got out. The men took Cavazos out of the trunk of the car. Earl, David Else, and Cheatham took him to an empty lot. Watson saw the gas can in Earl's hand. Cheatham, David Else, and Earl started beating Cavazos and telling him it was his last chance. Watson saw someone spark a torch. That man dropped the torch on Cavazos, and the flames shot up. Cavazos began screaming and running around. Watson testified that either Earl or David Else started the fire because they were the big ones and stocky. Watson testified that Cheatham is tall and thin and not muscular. Also, Earl and David Else were both wearing white t-shirts. When the fire started, all three men were standing near Cavazos. The three men then ran back to the car. David Else brought the gas can with him. Watson heard David Else say, "That was easy." They drove away and eventually a police car pulled them over. When the officer got out of his car and started walking toward the Cadillac, Cheatham drove away. The police followed them until Cheatham wrecked the car. Cheatham, Earl, and David Else ran away. Watson stayed at the scene and told the officers what happened. Catherine Long, a forensic seriologist, testified that she found human blood stains on several items of David Else's clothing. Long also testified that the presence of human blood on Earl's shoes and pants. Carolyn Van Winkle performed DNA testing on these items. She testified that the DNA present on these items was consistent with Cavazos' blood sample. James Adam, a trace evidence analyst, testified that the gasoline was present on David Else's black bag and a shoe belonging to Earl. Earl testified on his own behalf He testified that on May 13, 1998, he lived in Oklahoma and was in Dallas with David Else because they had a recording session. Earl dropped David Else off at the recording studio and then contacted Cheatham, his fiance's cousin, because he wanted to purchase drugs from friends of Cheatham. Earl met Cheatham and Watson at an IHOP. Cheatham told Earl that Watson would be handling the drug transaction. Earl noticed that Watson had a gun. Watson told Earl he carried it to keep from getting jacked. Earl testified that he gave Cheatham $4,000. Cheatham and Watson left to go get drugs for Earl. Later, Earl got a call from Cheatham saying something gone wrong. Earl met Cheatham and Watson back at the IHOP. Earl got in the car with them. Cavazos was also in the car. He was bleeding. Watson told Earl that Cavazos had been jacked. Earl told Watson he wanted his money back, and Watson agreed. Earl said eventually he and Cheatham went to the studio to pick up David Else, while Cavazos and Watson went to get Earl's money. Earl stopped at a gas station to fill up his car with gas, and in doing so, spilled else on himself. At midnight, they met Watson back at IHOP. Watson did not have the money, but Cheatham, David Else, and Earl got into the car with him to go get it. Cavazos was not present. They met two men who gave money to Watson. Watson gave the money to Cheatham, who gave it to Earl. On the way back to IHOP, they were stopped by police. When the police asked Cheatham to get out the car, Cheatham, who had been drinking, drove away at a high rate of speed, and a high speed ensued, and the car eventually crashed. Earl testified he did not have anything to do with Cavazos' death. David Else and Earl were tried jointly for the capital murder of Cavazos while in the course of kidnapping. A jury found them both guilty of capital murder, and the trial court automatically sentenced them to life confinement. Both of them, Roderick B. Earl and David L.D. Else, the CEO of the RYDA Records Company and one of the artists. The reason I want to share this story with y'all is because it's special to me, being that I was one of the artists on the label at the time, and I got presented with the choice a week before all this took place to leave from Oklahoma City and go with them to Texas, Big B and LD, to do the mix down of the project. And me and the rest of my label mates chose to all go to our houses, man. You know what I'm saying? And Lord knows what would have happened if we didn't make that choice. You know, you see what happened to LD and Big B. So I say that to say this: the choice you make today can affect you for the rest of your life, man. You know what I mean? The choice you make today can affect you for the rest of your life. So make sure you're making proper choices. Thank you for tuning in to this. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. And now, check out the bonus full version of the RYDA Family Bustin' Out video featuring my cousin Big B, myself, T-Dog Deuce, and Young Dale the Magnificent.
We're bustin' out with the funk, that RYDA funk, the kind you rub up in your trunk. We're bustin' out with the funky beats. Like them beats, just like us business.
Oh shit, it's script and flip. Big B for RYDA Records, and I'm here to represent. I'm knocking a dent for all the years that been spent. These suckers got me bent, they never really had a hint deep in the game before I went. And I know they resent. I'm coming with these platinum beats. It's nice like a swish and sweet. And if I catch you in my kitchen, I'ma turn up the heat. Bring it to you by the time, worldwide through the streets. Uncut straight because my family got to eat. And we keep it in the chamber for food trying to cheat. Game beats like gay volcano, lyrics hot like lava. We start the game and go just like Alibaba. Got no problems and we bring no drama. Get gone, and my Impala let the pipe
100 G's worth of ice rack, jacks sitting nice. First class backstage if you're freaking all night. YG's Don P in a CX-ho. Like green by the trees, double parked in the Lexo. We let faux hoes slide by cause they drunk and high. Got them creaming and they fiending for the nitty-eye. You wonder why, can't keep them loving the rush. 5 minutes with the real broads running to us. It's so serious, lyrically we damage them all. When RYDA Records hit the door, it ain't no stopping us, y'all.
We're bustin' out with the funk, that RYDA funk, that'll make you wanna roll up a blunt. We're bustin' out with the videos, those champagne shoes, that'll make your girl come about.
We bustin' out with the funk, and I know you wanna hear it. keeping your tracks, blazing 100 sacks, sipping XO and DP in the OKC. Young Nitty Dale can be Bob Young T. Can matching the gas on all these beats in the industry. It's nice and neat, tighter than the Swiss and sweet. And when the hit go double platinum, still it won't be complete. The whole in the industry, so make room for the RYDA record company.
We ride big boy billets on the SS Chevy. Down for the high speed, po-pos ain't ready like a balloon. When it pops, I'm busting out. On the scene, making green, come see what we about. RUL 7 squares, bow down to true players. RYDA records in the house, now let's see who's scared. You dealing with some real G's from the CVC. Central Valley, Killer Cali, Dale, Nitty, and B with T.
We bustin'